Hey Libra, how's it going? This reading is going to be about what's going to be happening for you over the next 3 or so days. So if there's anything important going on, you will be knowing about it. Okay, we are starting off first with Six of Swords. Six of Swords means that you're moving forward. So if you had been feeling stuck, you are going to be moving forward. You can be finding out more about this. There can be discussion about this, about what that actually means. Can be something that needs to be found out. Whatever this is. Okay, so you're moving forward. It looks like being open and curious sort of about what's happening and asking any questions and finding answers, and just being like open-minded about the direction of things. That's going to help you. Being adaptable, especially mentally adaptable, where you're just sort of like open to where this is going, can be really helpful. And I'm seeing too that not only are you moving forward, you're going to be moving forward very, very quickly. We have the Eight of Wands here, which shows that you could have expected, I'm going to go from here to here, and what ends up happening is you go from here all the way to here. It can be something that moves like much faster or much further than you initially anticipated, and it feels too like you being in a mindset that's sort of prepared for that is going to help you. There can also be a message incoming that you end up receiving too, or there can be a conversation that you end up having. Let's actually clarify. This can also be a move that you make where you're like, this is what my heart's telling me, I'm gonna do that. You know, following your heart. Also too, if you were looking for something that was giving back to you in a way that you needed, you can find that that happens too. Like if you'd been wanting somebody to open up, that can be happening. Having an important conversation can be happening. It can be like a conversation that even takes place in general that feels like a lot more progressed than what was happening before. More advanced. There can be a little bit of a conflict that you feel like you can have one aspect of your energy taking you one way and another aspect of your energy taking you another way. So there can be something going on where you could feel like there's a little bit of a, maybe even a crossroads with the energy, or you can be trying to figure out how to compromise. You can feel like this happens within you, but for some of you, you can feel like this is happening within a partnership too. Okay, moving forward, finding things out. You can also be like finding out where you're going, where something is going. It also too looks like there is going to be topic of discussion here about the movement of things. Stuff happens faster than you expect, or it moves forward either quicker or faster than you thought it would. Okay, I'm seeing a conversation that ends up being had. This is more so, it feels like it's less about practical stuff and more so about how you're feeling or how everyone's feeling if there are multiple people involved in this. And then there can also be this feeling of I'm seeing the Knight of Cups, but I'm also seeing the Knight of Wands, and they're kind of going in opposite directions. Knight of Cups is the part of you that wants to follow your heart and do things in a certain way. Knight of Wands is the part of you that may quickly or more rapidly want to do something, and so you can feel like you have to temper both of them. because maybe you feel like you need to honor both of these energies within you, but if you leave them how they are raw, they could sort of conflict with one another, and that is something that needs to be worked out. It feels even like impulsivity could drive you backwards potentially, and so being steadfast can prove more valuable as far as the bigger goal that you have here. I do feel like energies are sort of meeting one another, maybe in a way that they hadn't been before. Yeah, this feels like Libra. Having this, it means that Page of Cups is going to be you being connected with your intuition and being connected with your feelings, but Page of Cups can also be somebody showing up and saying like, this is what I have to offer. So it can be like a message you receive, it can be a gesture that you receive, and having it be Six of Pentacles, this will feel enough to you. This is an acceptable offer that comes through. Having it be Page of Cups, this is going to be, and like all the cups that I'm seeing here already, it's going to be more on an emotional level. Like it will be that type of gesture. So it will be like emotional, or it can be romantic, or it can be like energetic, intimacy, connection, or it can be something that feels like more private even that's happening, or just something that feels really genuine, like someone wearing their heart on their sleeve and showing up and being like, hey, this is what I have to offer. Having Six of Pentacles can be you wanting to make sure that it sort of aligns with your standards, but it feels like you end up deducing that it does, and then things move forward. This looks like somebody that you're already dealing with or have already dealt with. This doesn't look like a new person. Yeah, you just have to tune in and ask yourself if this meets your standards. It's going to be the biggest thing here. It feels like emotional standards especially. Something that can help you is that you can be checking in with your moon energy to figure out what that is. Okay, I'm seeing Scorpio come out, and Scorpio is actually the only zodiac here. I'm also seeing Pluto, and I'm seeing Saturn. This can mean that like certain rules are changing for you within your life, or like some type of structure is changing within your life. Okay, Page of Cups coming through. I'm seeing there be this like looking at a relationship, like there's this side of the scale, there's that side of the scale, and needing to look at it and figure something out, or like break something down, or see something about that relationship. Having the Death card feels like if there's anything that needs to be altered or changed, doing that. But there can also be like another force sort of fighting against you a little bit that can feel like things are changing, and this can be like your own triggers that are coming up that feel a little bit mentally in conflict with that, because Death card comes through and says like, hey, these things need to change so things can be better. But Five of Swords can be the part of you that's like, well, I'm feeling sort of stuck on this mentally, and even though I guess I can hear that would make things better, I feel very uncomfortable with that, or I feel unsafe with that, or I'd rather just like have a quick fix here. And I feel like that's the part of you that is the Knight of Wands, which may want to just put a band-aid over something rather than properly make the movement that needs to be made to allow you to feel like you're in the place that you need to be in to be receptive to what's going on. So yeah, you can feel change coming, can feel triggered by that, and the part of you that may like to act up, act out, or immediately just make yourself as comfortable as possible, even if that means fighting against this, you can see that flare up. It's like when you make a change, it can be the part of you that, like, let's say that you, let's say that there's something that you're cutting out of your routine that you're not going to be doing anymore. There can be this part of you that comes up that's like a really strong force within you that's like, don't you want to go back into it? Wouldn't it be fun to do things in that way? It feels like this tempting aspect of your energy that's like, you could feel good immediately, even though you may be doing something that's better for you, like long term. You know, in the short term, there can be some sort of suffering because the death card is here. And there can be a part of you that's like, we don't have to experience this if you don't want to, because you're like having a hard time wrapping your mind around something here. But it's just like you need to change your mind, essentially. And the death card is coming through helping you with that. It's like embracing the part of you that can shed and that can evolve naturally and sort of surrendering to that aspect of the process. Yeah, I'm seeing this be actually like a shadow thing that happens with the 5 of Swords and the 7 of Swords. This feels like something that you may already be aware of. Like when things start changing, you sort of close yourself off from doing that, and your shadow is like, we don't have to do that. You can keep doing things the old way, even though obviously this feels like something that would be good for you. This feels like something that would be beneficial for you. And if you really look at that, you can break that down and see like something's not working, something can be working better. But that part of you that feels guarded against going through changes and then having your shadow trying to validate that, but it's not based off of the ultimate truth, and you can know that. Like the shadow will come through and be trying to validate that part of yourself that doesn't want to change, or that doesn't want to create new patterns or new neural networks. I feel like this is a really strong resistance just to some type of evolving within your life that you know you'd be better off for long term, but may be really difficult short term for you to do. I'm seeing you be very capable of it, but I'm also seeing a very wily aspect of your energy that may like to not have to be in control and just do things automatically, and then it puts you back in the position that you've been in that it feels like you're trying not to be in anymore. And it will try to validate itself. That is why the 7 of Swords is here. It's like a way where you can convince yourself and like validate or like rationalize anything. But if you actually check it, you're like, I know that I'm really like BSing myself here. Like you'll feel that if you actually look at it and know that that's just what you're doing. You know that it actually goes against your like greater instinct of what to do, and that it also goes against your feeling of what's best for you. Because I'm seeing you're very, very connected with yourself, but when you're facing something that feels uncomfortable and that doesn't feel safe or doesn't feel particularly soothing immediately, there can be a part of you that pops up that's like, how do we get out of this? How do we get out of doing this? And you may want to go backwards by doing something that would be impulsive to be doing because of not wanting to adjust mentally to this thing that's going on. So working with Pluto and Saturn, it is not for the faint of heart. These are some really difficult ways to do things because Saturn is like sort of these rules and guidelines that you've had for yourself, but Saturn is also your discipline, and your discipline being challenged here. Maybe before you weren't at this level before, but now you're at this level where this is something that you can do. And having Pluto here, it's saying like this is a time to change, but an aspect of your energy that's quite rigid. It feels like there's a part of you that may not like to do this type of stuff because you're gonna have to be disciplined, something's gonna have to be well thought out, and it may just like downright not feel that fun for you. The second part of this is having to get your mind to see this is a good thing for me. Even though I'm like maybe initially seeing this as like the enemy, when I'm really breaking this down and reflecting on it, I know that this is a good thing for me and that this is something that's really going to better my life and it's really going to benefit me long term doing this. And then also working with a part of you that like downright you manipulate yourself emotionally to convince yourself to keep doing things in a way that's like actually not beneficial for you. But it's like your shadow coming up and being like, not wanting to change. It's the shadow like running away, trying to stay out of the light so you don't like realize those things or come to these conclusions, because then the shadow's game is going to be over. So you're basically doing that with yourself, and it feels like something that's happening between like what's going on with you emotionally. How you even self-soothe can be part of this too, or like how you tend to yourself, how you take care of yourself. What you can be like, I'm doing this because this is how I take care of myself, or this is how I cope, or it would just be too much for me to have to like change this or deal with it. And it's like your shadow that's telling you that, you know, like if you're not strong enough to go through it, like we should try to get out of it, you know, maybe it's not going to be good for you to make that type of change, like this is something that you should fear. It's like all of that stuff that's coming up. But there's this feeling within you that's coming from a pure heart space that's saying, hey, it's time for this to be happening now. So you basically are like having this little battle with these energies here, where the Scorpio energy is trying to like push something through, like let's keep going with this, like let's keep evolving, and the part of you that's like, that's no fun, I don't want to do it, is like pushing back. So I'm seeing this little thing that's happening here with the energy. And this is going to be like some really heavy personal work that you're doing. I feel like your moon is involved in this. Your 12th house can be involved in this. But if you're not really into the astrology, what this comes down to is how you really take care of yourself, how you listen to your intuition, how you cope, how you self-soothe, and you taking the best care of yourself, and excuses that you may make that you're convincing yourself, this is how I take care of myself, but you can actually do better, and you know that, and there are changes that need to be made. And yeah, this can be a time, but it can be really, really difficult, because there will be stuff that you may enjoy actually doing, that you have these defense mechanisms, so it can keep sort of rationalizing you to be able to keep doing these things. And the Death card is coming through saying, hey, you got to stop it, or like I need you to switch from doing that to doing this over here. So that's basically what's happening. This is all like this game that you're playing with yourself, and it's one of like great discipline, hard work, consistency, doing something now for results later that you will be very, very happy with. And that's something that you can't argue against. You can look at this and know, like, it may be awful now, and I may really not want to do it now, but there's no way you can deny that this won't benefit you later, because it will benefit you later if you do this. But maybe there's also a part of you too that's like, but I'm gonna have to suffer now if I do this. But I'm seeing again this just be like your shadow trying to like feed you these things so you don't actually have to change or evolve, so you can basically try to avoid this. But it feels like this tension is just going to build and build and build the more you're ignoring it. I do feel like self-control is part of this. Yeah, this can also be too like your shadow coming through and telling you certain things are important that aren't important. Like things that are important and things that are priorities. The Death card is coming through and saying, hey, this is a priority, this needs to be focused on, this needs to be worked on, this needs to be changed, or you need to surrender this, you need to stop doing that. Whatever it is that the Death card is telling you, which is that part of you that wants to evolve and wants things to be better for you. And then your shadow being like, let's prioritize your comfort, let's prioritize your unhealthy coping strategies. Let's prioritize you doing things that are actually not benefiting your wellness but can just make you feel good. You know, it's like those habits that it feels like are really coming through and being addressed here. And it has to do with you keeping yourself in the dark because you want to keep doing things, and you can really rationalize anything. And I think that it comes down to like, what part of you are you going to be motivated by? What part of you are you going to listen to? Are you going to align with this part of you that's doing things so you can like avoid taking accountability here? Or are you going to listen to the Death card, which will ultimately better your life long term and allow you to keep evolving and allow you to better cope with things, better deal with things, where you can actually find that sense of peace and joy that you're looking for? that at this time, these things can actually be keeping you from exactly that. And that's also too why the shadow is so messed up, because the shadow's like, this is what's best for you, but then when you listen to it, it actually keeps you from what's best for you. And it really eggs on this part of you that just wants to like not have to do things in a way that can be challenging and difficult, and just wants to sort of like run off into the sunset doing whatever. There's a time and place for that, and it's not right now. You can be using this energy for something else. So that's basically what's happening. You're figuring out like what's a priority and what's not. And I do feel like there's a little bit of a battle here that you're doing with your shadow or with your saboteur, whatever you want to call it, that's coming through and being like, these are the things we need to focus on. And I'm seeing like your better judgment come through and say, no, like, no, actually, these are the things that we need to be prioritizing, and you're like gonna be figuring out what's actually true for you. But having Saturn here and having Pluto, it feels like you're going to lean on the side of discipline, doing the difficult stuff now that will really benefit you later, and also like cracking things open and breaking them apart, especially places where you may have been self-sabotaging or may have been not being completely honest with yourself about things, and may have like been burying the truth from yourself. Okay? All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I'm seeing the devil on the bottom of the deck. To have the devil on the bottom of the deck, this can be like you dealing with vices, like habits, just anything that you know. When you really check in with yourself, as much as you can find ways to rationalize excuses, but if you really check in with yourself, you'll know like, that's not best for me, that's not aligned with my highest good, that's actually like pretty regressive, or that's not helping me, or I keep telling myself that this will be the answer, but the result keeps telling me that this isn't how I get to where I'm trying to go. The thing that gets us caught in cycles that are connected with the devil is that the devil is this notion of you can never get enough of something that almost works, and so it always keeps you in that cycle. But this is that recognition that almost works doesn't mean that it does work, and it never will. And so this is that time when those things are being addressed in a big way. Okay, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I am sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.